getting started, the 5 things you need in place to launch something new. So you have a new idea, a new product, a new platform, new something. How do you launch that thing? And the first tip is this, or the first sort of recommendation is this. You do need to have your simple, clear MV pilot offer. Tivi talked about last week having your MVP, your most valuable pilot that you want to offer. And you need to be able to explain that in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. So I'm going to give you some examples of what that might look like. And I should say here, because this is where you might be writing furiously or worrying about notes, we will be sending all of this to you. Examples that I'm giving, I'm sending all of this to you. Rachel has prepared all of this. So take notes if it's sticky for you, if it helps you remember, but don't worry about it if you miss even an example because we have them listed. Okay. All right. Now back to the show here. So you need a simple, clear MV pilot offer that you can explain in 1 or 2 sentences. For example, I'm offering what, right? So you fill in the blank. I'm offering what? Maybe it's a half-day team alignment workshop. So I'm offering half-day team alignment workshop for how much, right? What's the amount? And then you put that in, $4,500. That delivers role clarity, communication norms, and shared 90-day goals roadmap. So that's the framework. I'm offering what? Fill in the blank. For how much? Fill in the blank. That delivers what? Maybe 2 or 3 things that you're delivering. That is a sentence that packs a big punch. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few more examples. I'll design your very specific 5-page website using what platform? Squarespace, maybe in this example. For how much? $3,000. That includes what? Your homepage, the about page, your services page, maybe your contact page, and basic SEO setup. That's your deliverable. That's your offer. Okay. So another example, I'll set up your CRM. In what platform, right? Because you want to show your subject matter expertise. You want to show where your thought leadership lives. I know HubSpace, so I can rock this out and you're going to pay me for it. I'll set up your CRM in HubSpot for what? $1,200, let's say. And that will include your contacting your organization, your pipeline stages in 1 automated email. So you want to get clear on what the offer is by saying what it is, how much it's going to cost you, and what you will deliver. All right. Does that make sense? Again, we have all these examples written down. It's 3 parts. What is the offer? How much are you asking for it? Be very clear. You don't hide the ball on this. And then what are you going to deliver? You can say that in 1 sentence. It shows that you're confident and it shows that you're providing value. Okay. All right, Rach.
All right. So number 2, what you need is a solid idea of who your audience is, what their pain points are, and how your product or service meets their needs. So what happens is that people are thinking about themselves, right? You're thinking, this is my expertise and I want you to buy this from me. What you have to do is flip that and think about who your audience is. So we're actually going to share with you this document. I'll share my screen for a second just so you get an idea. And it's going to walk you through all of that. So it's going to walk you through thinking through if you already have an audience, right? How you've made the sales you've already made. If you don't have an audience yet, who they probably are. And it's going to help you really think through like what's an actual example of someone who would buy my product, right? And then putting yourself as a unique person, you're going to want to look at what's my competition? Who's already out there doing this, right? And take a look at how they're doing it, what you like about their messaging. You're going to find things that you didn't even know you needed to know. And then you'll figure out what makes you unique, right? So anyway, we'll share that with you. That's one of the documents we're going to share. But Jess, take us away with number 3.
Yeah, number 3, after you understand who your audience is, then it's time to promote. So you need a plan to promote. Tivi last week talked about a 30-day plan. We talk about 90-day sprints. We'd like to see a little bit more traction. I think 30-day plan is great because it gives you a chance to experiment, but there's a little bit more to that. So how we break up our 30-day sprints that make a total of 90 days is first is just getting things prepared. So if you have your offer, you need to have actions in place to get it ready for promotion, sales, and testing. So for example, you may want to build a lead magnet and landing page. So for some of you, you're like, what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is like a freemium, something that's going to drive people into the top of the funnel. We have done this for 5.5 years. In fact, I talked to somebody yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, who was saying, I have my newsletter out there. I put it out every week. I don't get a lot of signups. People come to my website and they don't sign up. And I said, why would they sign up? What are you giving them? And they said nothing. And I was like, well, they don't know you and you need to provide value immediately. Immediately. Just because they love you and you have a great personality and charisma does not mean that they want to work with you or know that you have anything to offer them. So providing some kind of freemium. And we started with I made a little kind of cheap little PDF about like ways to, I can't even remember, girl, it was like 5.5 years ago. I should have looked back, but it was just like a fun little ways to get through life or something like that. Top 10 ways to make it through your day or something. And we gave that away. People signed up and we sent them the PDF. So it doesn't have to be expert. You don't have to, spend thousands of dollars. I did it for free. It took me a half an hour and it was something that we were able to deliver. So the first thing is build some kind of lead magnet, a freemium, something you can give away, and you should have a landing page, a place where they can find you. Where's your home? Place where they can find you. So that's the first thing. The next 30 days, so you're going to build that. So first 30 days is building. The next 30 days is selling it, right? So for example, you might provide a description and a link to this new service in the newsletter. We have a newsletter. So we provide a place where this offer lives in our newsletter. It also lives on our website, social media posts. I speak a lot. Sharon Delaney on this call does a lot of national speaking. I am sure that Sharon, at the last slide of your talk is how to get a hold of you and ways to get into your funnel, right? So that's the next 30 days is how will you sell this and what platforms will you sell it? And then the next 30 days is delivering on those sales, or delivering on the new relationships that you're building too. They're not always sales, right? So treat those first sales like gold. Give those clients lots of extra attention because they are your new referral base. They will talk about you and they will send others through your funnel. Figure out, once you build that relationship, you're going to find out, how did they meet you, right? How did they find you? Why did they click? What is it about you? Is it your charisma? Is it your whatever? Find out what it is, but you'll only know that once you get them in the funnel. And then we love this too. When you have the opportunity to get testimonials, ask for them. Just ask for them, because testimonials, again, it's one thing to say you're amazing. It's way more for other people to say you're amazing. Okay. Rach.
All right. Number 4, you need a budget. No surprise, but actually it's really easy to go over budget. So you need to look at both your time and your money. What happens is that, as we're, starting to sell something new, if it's not succeeding, your anxiety can drive you to suddenly spend a lot more and put a lot more time into it than you intended to. Or if it is succeeding, you're so excited, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, pour 20 hours this week into pursuing this new thing. So you need to look ahead of time and go, all right, maybe I already have a full-time job. This is my side gig that I'm launching. I need to make sure that I don't run myself dry. So,
yeah, great. And number 5 is you do need to have a group of people or a person who will support you during this testing phase. So we just talked about the first, 5 steps is having your NV pilot offer, knowing who your audience is, planning your promotion schedule, making sure you have a budget, and then you need to kind of a little team around you. So Rachel's on my team, but at the beginning, I didn't know Rachel. So I had no formal anybody to help me with anything. And I looked around and I had my girl squad who were professional women that were willing to champion me and shout me from the rooftops. When we first launched our pilot, our MVP, we actually gave it away for our program was like about $1,000. We gave it away for $99 and told everybody, hey, join us for $99. It's not perfect, but we're going to give this to you. And at the end, we just want your time so that you can give us feedback on what we did well and what we didn't do well. And they were happy to do it because they knew they were getting a hell of a discount. And then two, I mean, these became the first out, they were the first community that helped us reinvention road trip, and they became ambassadors for us. So don't be afraid to do something crazy like that, because it really does pour gasoline on your business, and it accelerated us quite quickly. I guess that's the whole point of acceleration. All right, that's number 5. So those are the first top 5 on how to launch and get started with your business. The next is